I'm going to talk a little bit about this Yoshii Yoshinori Wakizashi Chesa Katana, or maybe o-wakizashi. It's a little too short to be a conventional katana and a little too long to be a conventional wakizashi. Supposedly back in the day, people would make them just under 24 inches so they could get by the requirement and have it not technically be a katana, but kind of be a katana. Anyway, that's a history lesson for another day. What I can tell you about this one is that the saya is a deep metallic purple color, and it's kind of dinged up. It has a moan on one side, but there's some chips in the saya paint that degrade its overall appearance. It still looks nice enough, but honestly, it needs some new paint. I think the saya is from a recent restoration to the sword, and that's why it looks overall pretty good in terms of how robust and sized it is. But anyway, this particular one doesn't have the greatest suka. The ito's a little bit mixed up and doesn't quite line up right. The fittings are okay, but aren't necessarily great. And here you can see the saya opening. You can see that the wood is pretty good and that it hasn't been used to draw or play with too much. And so I think it'd be fine for restoration, but it needs a new suka and a new saya paint. The Hibachi is a silver foil Hibachi, and it's got an antique tsuba on it. The Hibachi looks okay, but again, I think it could be dolled up. The attractive part is really the blade. It's in a basic polish, and the blade does have plenty of flaws. It's not a perfect sword, but for somebody starting out collecting Nihonto, it's got something. It's got some character to the blade, and it's maybe a good candidate for somebody to practice polishing on, or an intro collector, just kind of getting started looking over a blade, looking for a basic study piece. The geometry is kind of interesting. I believe it's a Nagamaki Naoshi, and you can see that it's missing kind of the typical hi that you would see near the munmachi. But anyway, the general shape is there, and the blade is in overall reasonable shape. And I got it because it had a little bit of something to study, and now I've kind of looked over it, and it's time for me to pass it on to the next collector. But it's appealing to look at in its basicness. But don't get me wrong, it's a really basic level sword, and something that a basic collector is going to be looking for. It's not a crazy museum piece or gonna net you millions of dollars. Here's some basic specs of the sword so that you can see some information. A little bit closer up view of the tsuba and the Hibachi. It is a silver foil. You can kind of see that as you look closer at it. Here's a closer image of the signature. From what I've been able to ascertain, it's a Yoshii Yoshinori. And here's a little bit of the other side of the tsuba, or the nakago. Not a whole lot going on there. Thank you for watching. I hope you found the video helpful or useful. Cheers.